Hello, welcome everyone to another live stream. So today we have had some big developments in the world of crypto. We have had Bitcoin finally crush through the 100K mark. So if we go to the daily chart, we are trucking higher with a lot of confidence. So it's looking very interesting. If you guys have any questions, make sure to put them in the chat or any chart requests, any psychological questions, risk management. We cover everything from the chat. So just leave a comment. Anyway, the daily chart, by my analysis, still looks very, very bullish for Bitcoin. The only sign of selling pressure was right here in this red candle, but it could not commit. So the sellers could not commit. Basically, we just had this single candle down, and then the next one did not continue. Instead, it retraced. So for me, this wasn't really a big bearish signal. Usually a big bearish confirmation is two big red candles printed one after the other. So my bias is for this to still continue going up. Yes, you could say that the momentum is not as strong as it used to be here. You could say that the momentum is maybe stagnating a little bit, but overall the bulls are still in control, and we have crushed that magic 100K mark. So it's looking very healthy. If we drop it down to the 1 hour chart, am I seeing any potential entries on this chart right here? To be honest, according to the way that I trade, I don't see any high probability entries, but I do like this momentum on the 1 hour chart. It looks very interesting. One more thing I wanted to cover, since we are in the world of crypto, I want to cover Ethereum as well. So Ethereum is basically very popular along with Bitcoin. Usually what happens is Bitcoin moves first. You have a lot of money pumping into Bitcoin, especially if it is a risk-on environment. Usually you will get the S&P and the NASDAQ pumping up as well. So Bitcoin kind of follows the risk-on assets. When people feel safe, when people want to invest, money flows into stocks and it flows into Bitcoin as well. So Bitcoin goes first, and then you have the altcoins following it. You have the Dogecoin, of course, Ethereum, which is the number one cryptocurrency or number two cryptocurrency after Bitcoin. You have Ripple and all of the other ones. What I focus on is I focus on Bitcoin and I focus on Ethereum. Okay, so Ethereum looking very healthy. The daily chart looks okay. We have finally broken out of this flat range with quite a lot of momentum, pull back a little bit, and now continuing to break higher. We are approaching this major high at 4,090, and we are kind of still nowhere near the all-time highs. The all-time high was at 4,860. I mean, we are getting close to there, but we still need a lot of steam for the markets to reach that. We need 25%. In the crypto world, 25% is not a lot, but we're still not that close. So still looking impulsive. This is highly depending on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin continues going up, Ethereum is pretty much going to follow. Dropping it down to the 1 hour chart, can I see any high probability entries? Not really. I have tested my Forex trading strategy on crypto. It doesn't work as well. You just don't get a very clean price action that I personally need to make percentage. It moves more like the S&P, where you have a channel and then it kind of moves from the lower extreme to the upper extreme, or from the lower trend line to the upper trend line, and trends in that sort of a way. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish on the crypto world. I like what is happening with Bitcoin. Are we gonna pump higher? Well, no one really knows. I can only tell you what the momentum is showing, and the momentum is still pretty strong for a bullish scenario. I know a lot of people thought we're going to retrace when we hit 100K. I think the retrace actually happened a little bit before. So we had the 99.8 mark, and then we retraced. So I think this was the retrace that most people were expecting. You had a lot of bigger players selling into this bullish pressure. right before the 100K mark. So I think now, since we had this correction, we are safe to possibly have a bit more upside. What would I hate to see? I would hate to see two big red candles on the daily chart. I think that would be pretty detrimental for Bitcoin, something like this. And also, I would not like to see a lot of news activity for Bitcoin. If you see Bitcoin in the news a lot, it's usually not a good sign, because then kind of everyone has has heard about it, and everyone has made a decision if they want to buy, if they want to sell, or if they want to sit on the sidelines. And if there are no more buyers left, well, then it is time to go down. And usually, again, the herd is always wrong. So you want to be in Bitcoin and in crypto and pretty much any asset, you want to be in early. And once everyone finds out about it, once the mainstream media starts talking about crypto, well, then you know the game is up, and pretty much the uptrend is not that likely to continue. So, Mr. Player, how are you doing? Bro, how do you decide the impulsive break? Like, do you see the minimum candle break like 2 or 3 candles or something else? How to read charts like impulsive breaks, momentum shifts, weakness, and how to judge the market. Okay, so this is a question about market momentum, and I usually require 2 impulses, I would say. So let me give you an example. On the pound Aussie, we had a nice push up. So for me, this would not be enough momentum. This is just a single break of the high. Yes, it is a big blue candle, but it hasn't moved far away from this flat range. So it's not looking that strong. And then you get the second one. Now you have the confirmation. At this point, you have 2 big bullish candles. Both of them have a nice close on the top. So I pretty much like this formation, and I would be looking for buy setups. I think it looks pretty good. Then the third one prints, and now it's looking great. So that would be an example of the momentum that I require. I may sometimes tolerate just a single candle impulse, but most of the time I will prefer a 2 candle break. Okay, so most of the time I will want to see a 2 candle break. Now let me give you an example of a shift in momentum. We can find it here. So this would be a good enough impulse. I think this would be pretty good. You have the first big blue candle, second one continues up, nice clean close on the top, so not a big wick on the top. I think this looks pretty healthy. And now I would be looking for entries. So now I would be looking for like a flag or a pullback like this, break of the high with force, and then a retest of the high. But then you get a big shift in momentum. Okay, so this is definitely a shift in momentum. This is looking pretty bad. How do I know it's a shift in momentum? Well, just by a visual assessment. But what you can also do is take the polyline tool. Okay, take that, and then draw the candle, and then measure the size of this red candle compared to the candles in the per price action. Does it look big? Does it look small? Does it look average size? Or does it look big when comparing it to the candles in the per price action and the candles in the impulse? I would say it looks pretty big. I would say it looks pretty significant. And I would say there is a lot of selling pressure here. So the size of this candle is pretty massive, and I'm going to call this a momentum shift. For that reason, I'm actually not going to be looking for a buy setup here anymore. Okay, because the momentum has shifted. Why would I want to be looking for buy setups if I can visually spot that the momentum has clearly started to shift to the downside? Okay, so yeah. Hope that helps. Hope that clears up your question. Put it in the chat if you have any more. Now let's go back. So we did crypto. Crypto is very active right now. But let's go back to Forex, because Forex is something that I trade live on the 1 hour chart. Crypto is something that we like as a long-term hold, a long-term investment. Of course, if you have any crypto, never keep it on an exchange. Always put it on a hard wallet, like a ledger wallet, okay? So buy Bitcoin on Binance and then send it to your ledger wallet. Keep it in cold storage. That is the safest way to go. For how long to hold? At least a few years. 5 years is like, I would say, the minimum. Holding it for 10 years would be great. Hey Charles, what's up? So Charles asks, why not on the exchange? Well, crypto is pretty dangerous. It's pretty dangerous space. It's not that well regulated. It's still pretty new, and no, digital wallets, they're no good. I wouldn't go with a digital wallet. I would go with a hard wallet, such as the Ledger wallet. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Let me tell you why. Recently, or maybe 1 or 2 years ago, there was a very popular cryptocurrency exchange, FTX, and a lot of people have had their Bitcoin on the FTX exchange. They had millions and millions and millions on there. And in the background, the guy that was running the FTX exchange was using their crypto that they deposited on his website to gamble and to put into risky investments, and he lost a lot of it. Maybe even all of it. He lost a bunch of money. It is Sam Bankman-Fried or something like that. He was the guy running the FTX exchange, one of the most popular exchanges, crypto exchanges in the US, and he lost millions. People lost millions. The exchange went down, it closed down, and if you kept your cryptocurrency on FTX, you would lose it all, right? But when it is on your ledger, when it is in cold storage, it's going to be very, very tough for someone to steal your crypto. So when you put it on an exchange, you never know what is happening in the background, who is using your crypto to invest into different ventures or gamble it, or completely gamble it. Very, very dangerous world. People are assholes, and yeah, they will steal your money like this. You had the Hak Tuch girl, I think that's the name, Hak Tuach girl. She launched like a meme coin 8 hours ago or 10 hours ago. It went up a lot and then it completely crashed. She made probably like 10 million, 50 million, I don't know. She made a bunch of money because as soon as the token went live, as soon as the meme coin went live, it started going up. So her audience started buying. Imagine if this was the coin, and she was selling as it was going up. So she was basically selling into her audience buying, and she scammed her audience out of millions and millions of dollars. So people in the crypto world, especially, you have a lot of scammers. You have a lot of scammers in Forex, but in crypto, it's like 10x. So yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Back to Forex, where we are a bit safer. Euro US dollar. So looking pretty flat, pretty range bound. Now, one thing that I can see is that we have NFP coming up. So I highly, highly recommend for anyone who doesn't yet have the news in TradingView, basically in settings, events, here, click economic events. Okay, click economic events, and then you will get these boxes. It's, I would say, very important to keep track of when the high impact news is happening. For example, on Friday, we have the non-farm payrolls unemployment rate. So very important news event. A lot of volatility is expected. This is so in December, I do believe we expect a rate cut as well, or not a rate cut, but we expect a Fed interest rate decision, which is another very volatile event. And this is the NFP right before the interest rate decision. So it can move the markets a lot. It can create some big, big movements. If you click here, you're going to see that the last NFP was 12, which was super low. I think the forecast was around 200 for the last one. It was a very extremely bearish print. So if this time we get an extremely bearish print, as we got the last time, if we get the number 12, let's say, it's going to be very, very bad for the US dollar. It's going to be very, very bad for the US dollar. If we get a super bullish print, that can be pretty good for the US dollar. But what I can see is that the markets are starting to be a bit flat. Okay. So the dollar is starting to be a bit flat. Here on the daily chart as well, looking a bit range bound. Okay, let me just go grab a glass of water and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So, yeah, the dollar pairs, they're all looking a bit flat. See, Aussie, pound, US dollar. What I believe is happening, and this would not be the first time, it's very often that this happens, is when people are expecting a big news event, when a big news event is coming up, usually they don't do anything. So they wait, they don't execute any buys, they don't execute any sells, and the market pretty much is flat. Okay, so the market is pretty much flat right before the news. So until NFP, which is here, my forecast is a range bound market. And it's going to be pretty soon. So it's kind of today's Thursday around 6 p.m. We still have a couple of hours until NFP. So yeah, it's coming up soon. And when it does come, I think we're going to have a big reaction either down or up. Okay. So I'm not going to put EU on the watch list. In terms of trades, what did we have? Nothing much. Nothing really was of interest to me. We were super corrective. We still have this large gap in the markets. One thing I can tell you about gaps in the market is they get filled pretty quickly, usually in the same week or maybe even in the same month. Has this large gap been filled yet? Almost. So this is the gap. Let's use this box. So this is the gap. And you still have a little bit of the gap that has not been filled. And you have another one here, but this one has now been filled. See, this was the gap, and you had price actually retest those levels. So this one is filled. Now we could pretty easily move down after NFP and fill this gap. Of course, I'm going to be looking for sell setups along the way, right? That's what I do. So that's about it. EU not going to go on the watch list. Looking flat and range bound. EJ, let's start with the daily chart. EJ, the daily chart has been moving inside of this range for quite some time now. We have had small downtrends, uptrends, downtrends. So you could spot some action, but not a lot. It was not that interesting. In terms of setups, I was looking at trades or 4 trades at 2 occasions. Here, this was a nice impulse down, but we got a big bullish candle, a lot of buying pressure, so this wasn't great. And in the end, we didn't get a flag. We broke the low before the flag formed. And here, this was looking nice, but again, the next candle, kind of bullish pressure. We did get a flag in the end. I think we did. Yeah, so this is the flag. But to be honest, with this candle, it was a bit too much bullish pressure, so I stayed out. Okay. Now we did get one interesting entry that we use at Zentum Trading. It is actually an internal reversal. I'm not going to go into it too much, but I can show you the 3 key components. So basically, the first one was a clean descending channel. The second one is, and if anyone wants to join Zentum Trading, we have Cyber Monday running. This is the last day. Okay, so if you want to join Zentum Trading, we have Cyber Monday discounts, and this is your last day. The discount runs out in about, I think, 7 hours. So you still have 7 hours if you want to join with a discount. Okay, so descending. Second criteria is a strong impulse down, which we have right here. And then the third criteria is a nice, strong bullish candle, which you have here. Okay. And you enter on the strong bullish candle. You enter on the big retrace. You can put your stop loss somewhere here. And then you have a fixed take profit. Okay. You could do, for example, a 2-to-1. And that is the trade. Okay. Price did go up, but then it went down. Depending on how you would trade this, it maybe would have been a winner. According to the way we trade it, it would be a 2% winner. But if you had your stop loss in a different place, it would be actually a loss. But I think this was a pretty interesting setup. Why did I miss it? Because at this point, I boarded the plane. Okay. So we had the Zentum meetup last week on Friday or on Saturday. And just as I was about to go from London to Croatia, to Zagreb, this entry printed and I missed it. So yeah, on the plane, I didn't have internet. It is one of those. So it is just one of those. And I was pretty tired, to be honest. I don't think I would have even spotted it on my phone. I was busy the whole day, pretty tired. So it happens. What you gonna do? And then after that, not much else. Now we are so we attempted to break out here, but then we retraced. Then we had another attempt, another breakout attempt right here, but then we had a wick and a retrace as well. So not the best. I'm not really going to put this pair on the watch list. What would I like to see? I want to see this and this sort of momentum continue up. So I would like to see something like this print. A nice continuation of the bullish momentum and then a high probability flag formation. Until that happens, I will remain patient. Of course, we have NFP, which is pretty much going to impact every single currency pair. So tomorrow we have NFP, non-farm payroll. And I think it's going to bring some movement to the JPY pairs as well. For sure, it's going to bring some movement to the JPY pairs as well. Next one, Aussie US dollar. On the daily, kind of slowing down on the daily chart. You had a nice, strong down trend, but now we are starting to slow down. 1 hour looking pretty flat, pretty corrective right here. In terms of setups, yes, I was looking for sell setups here. Nothing came out of that. We had a big bullish retrace up. I was looking for sell setups here as well. Whoop. Let's go back. I was looking for sell setups here as well. But again, a lot of bullish momentum started to kick in, too much bullish momentum. This is a great example of a momentum shift. I think Mr. Player had a comment about shifts in momentum. This is the one, right? This is clearly a shift in momentum. And at this point, I don't want to be in this trade, okay? I don't want to be looking for sell setups if I see a big blue candle like this one, okay? So visual assessment, pretty big. This is definitely a shift. It's almost as big, pretty much as big as the biggest candles inside of the actual impulse. So clear shift in momentum. Okay. Summary, AU is not going to go on the watch list. I'm looking for a large push up or a large push down like this. Remaining patient, of course, on AU. And looking for the next opportunity. AJ. Now, AJ actually looks interesting. And AJ is going to go on the watch list. Let me tell you why. The daily. The daily broken out of this range. So we had a flat range, but then we had a nice melt down. So that's good. Some movement is happening. We're getting some trends. We're no longer super flat, and that could go in our favor. So zooming in the 1 hour chart where I actually look for entries, this looks like a pretty good descending channel. For me, this looks very interesting. What do I like about it? Well, I like how we are breaking the lows here, only the lows. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive breaks of the low. And each time we break the low, we print a huge wick and retrace. Huge wick, retrace. So this is a very clean pattern, and it is a bullish pattern. My game plan is for us to, if we can continue with the descending like this, get a push up and get a buy setup, that would be very high probability, and I would be very happy to look for buy setups. Okay, that would be great. So I would definitely be looking for buy setups if we can get the continuation of the descending channel, and then a nice bullish impulse to the upside and a nice flag formation as well. Remove the drawings. Yeah. So yeah, AJ looking good. I still need the price to develop though. It is going to go on the watch list because it's currently printing a interesting pattern, which is the descending channel. Next one, and any trades? Yeah, I was looking for setups after this momentum. I was looking for basically the same setups as on EJ. Strong momentum down, no flag, strong momentum down, big shift in the pullback, negating all of the setups. That's about it. Pound US dollar daily. Stagnating a little bit. We had the weakness or the strength of the dollar. Dollar was super strong, super strong, super strong. Now pausing a little bit. Okay, pausing a little bit right here. Zooming in. Well, you know what? It's starting to look a little bit interesting. It's starting to print a sort of an ascending channel right here. I'm not gonna put it on the watch list just yet, but this is a bearish pattern. We are breaking the highs, barely breaking the highs, and retracing here, here. So if we can continue with the ascending channel, drop down, show me a sell setup, I think that would be pretty high probability to look for sells. Not yet, and AJ looks better. So AJ does look cleaner. The channel looks cleaner than on the pound US dollar, but both of them have a little bit of potential. Okay, both of them have a little bit of potential. In terms of the setups that we had, well, we had a flag right here. So you had a flag setup. This is it. You could have taken this first high, first low, second high, second low. So according to our Zentum trading methodology, on the pound US dollar, we take a timed entry. Okay, so we take a timed entry, and basically we wait for, I'm not gonna go into it too much because it's kind of meant for the Zentum traders, but we wait for a different time to enter. So an initial flag does form, but then we wait a bit later, and you would get in somewhere around this candle, I believe, and this may have actually been a winning trade with the way that we traded with the timed entry. Why didn't I take it? Too many warning signs for me. So let's say I was looking for that timed entry somewhere around here. I just saw a red candle in the impulse. That's pretty bad. That's a pretty big warning sign, this red candle. Triple wicks on the top, huge wicks. Not good, not good. So power price action, flat and range bound. So too many warning signs. So first big warning sign, you could take it back from this point. First big warning sign, huge triple wicks. That's already a big warning sign. Second warning sign, red candle in the impulse. That's pretty bad. You don't want to mess with that. Third warning sign, power price action, as I said, was flat and range bound. So yeah, just definitely not good enough. Other than that, other than the flag, we had a gap here, pretty big gap. But as you can see, the gap did get filled. Price, so price did retest those levels, if you can see it right there. Okay. No entries. Other than that, no entries. We went flat and then we started ascending out of the range. That would be about it. NJ. Our NJ is looking very similar to AJ, which is, of course, to be expected. It was flat for quite a while. From the 27th of September, we just had this super flat range. We did nothing, and then we dropped with some decent momentum. What I would like to see is, of course, if we can continue with that momentum like this. I think that would be pretty high probability. Zooming in, currently being a bit flat, a bit stagnant, just breaking the highs, breaking the lows, possibly waiting for NFP. Because look, NFP is a pretty volatile event, pretty important event. Everyone is watching it. It's going to impact absolutely every currency pair, at least a little bit. And this one, especially the one that's happening tomorrow, is supposed to be pretty volatile. It's supposed to be pretty important. So before, you can remember, before an important news event, markets tend to go flat. See, they tend to go flat, they tend to go quiet as the bigger players, as the bigger traders are preparing their positions, they're preparing for the news event, they want to see the outcome of the news event, and then they will make their move. Okay. In terms of setups, same thing as AJ. We had this impulse going down, but then we had a lot of buying pressure here. Yes, a flag did print. And so, Charles, if you're watching, this would be a sell flag setup. So you need the 4 points. You need the first low, the first high, second low, and the second high, and the entry candle. Okay, you cannot just enter with a pullback like this, or this is not a flag either. So it must form like this. You must have a push down and then a flag. Okay, this is a good example. This is a valid flag, but it is not high probability. Why is it not high probability? Well, just a bit too much buying pressure here. I want them to be small. I want the flags to be flat, and this one wasn't. Here as well, pretty nice impulse down, pretty strong, decent momentum down, but then what happens next? Just too much buying pressure. So I'm counting this as a shift in momentum. Okay. These two candles, they create pretty large buying pressure, and I'm definitely no longer interested after that. That sort of buying pressure is bigger than most of the other candles. Okay. So yeah, no setups. I didn't take any trades. Last trade I took was, I think, on the 19th of November. So I didn't take any trades in the last 2 weeks. If you're the same, if you haven't taken any trades and you have challenges running, be careful of the inactivity rule. I almost got burned with the inactivity rule because on some prop firms, if you do not execute a trade in 30 days, they take away your account. So what you need to do is at least every 30 days, or make it 25 days, place a minimum lot trade just for the inactivity rule. Okay, that's what I do. I have a reminder in my phone, and every 25 days, if I don't take a trade, the phone buzzes and reminds me of the inactivity rule. So be really careful with prop firms. So we have come to the end of our 6 currency pairs that I trade live. The only one that is forming a high probability pattern currently is AJ. Okay, that is the only one. Charles says, if you're inactive, what do you do? I haven't used Vantage in a while. No, it's only with prop firms. So with brokers, with broker accounts, you do not have an inactivity rule. I have never heard of an inactivity rule with brokers. And Vantage is a broker. But with prop firms such as FTMO or Alpha Capital, they can have inactivity rules. And basically, if you fail the inactivity rule, they can take away your account. If you have already broken the inactivity rule with a prop firm, you're screwed. Maybe if you reach out to support, maybe they will reinstate your account. Most of the time it doesn't happen. So watch out for that. Just place minimum lots. Okay, you do not have to place a big trade. You can also place a minimum trade size. That is called a minimum lot. So if your regular trade is like 5 lots or 7 lots, place a 0.01 lot. That is the minimum size that you can input into MetaTrader or into CTrader or those platforms. Charles asks, what is the difference between a broker and a prop firm? So with a broker, you deposit the money. You deposit, let's say, $1,000, and then you trade that money. With a prop firm, you pay, let's say, $500 for a challenge, and then you need to pass that challenge. Okay, they give you sort of an exam or challenge or however you want to call it. You need to make specific percentage with specific drawdown, and if you pass it, you get a funded account. You get a $100,000 funded account, but it's fake money. It's demo money. So watch out for that. You can make money with prop firms, but you need to be careful. So they say that they give you a real 100K account. That's fake. They don't give you a real account. But the difference is with a broker, you put in $1,000, you have $1,000 to trade. With a prop firm, you pay, let's say, $500 for a $100,000 account, and then you either fail the challenge and you lose the $500, or you pass the challenge and you get the funded account, you get the $100,000, and then you have $100,000 to trade. Of course, you can only go 10% into drawdown, so essentially you have $10,000 to trade. It gets a bit more complicated. So if it's demo money, what's the point? Well, they make all of their money from the people that fail the challenges. Okay, so let's say I pay $500, I sign up for the challenge and I fail it. I lose the $500, they make $500. But let's say Nico, you know Nico, pays $500, passes the challenge, gets the funded account, and actually makes money on the funded account. Let's say he makes $10,000. Well, that they will pay him out. Okay, they will pay him out, but it will go straight out of their own pockets. So they will actually pay him out from all the challenge fees from people that failed. Okay, so that's why you can make money. Nico made a lot of money with prop firms, basically. So yes, if you pass the challenge, you get the account, and if you can make money on the account, and if you're with like a good prop firm that's not too shady, not too scammy, if you're with FTMO, there's a big chance that you will actually get that payout, that they will actually send. Let's say you make $10,000, that they actually will send that $10,000 to you. I have a couple of videos. Actually, I have a lot of videos on my channel about that. So if you want to know more, definitely check out my channel or jump on the Wednesday Zoom call, and I can discuss it in much more detail in the Zoom call. So I'll remember to talk about it next week. If any of you other guys want to join the Zoom calls, it is for Zentum traders. So if you want to sign up, go to zentumtrading.com and join our free Discord, or you can become a paid member. If you're a paid member, then you get once per week Zoom call with Griff, Nico, and me. It is usually on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. London time. That is the usual time. And there you can ask any questions that you like. We have a lot of free time or a lot of time in the call to explain to you some concepts that are more detailed, let's say. So I'll talk about this in the Zoom call for sure. For you, I highly recommend staying with a broker and not buying any prop firm challenges, as you're still backtesting and still learning. Prop firm challenges are very tricky. They're tough, they're hard. You can make some mistakes and you can choose a wrong firm and you can lose a lot of money. So brokers are a much safer option to trade than prop firms. Okay, that's about it. Next thing I want to cover is some of the pairs that I'm looking into, such as the pound Aussie. I want to give myself a little bit more diversification. I want to make, yeah, no worries, Charles. See you next week on the call. And we can break down prop firms. It's a really interesting subject. I really like to talk about it. Pound Aussie, I want to give myself some more diversification. I'm looking at some different currency pairs. As you can see, this impulse printed here, and it's starting to continue with the uptrend. None of the other pairs are actually in an uptrend. So that's called diversification. If I can get a high probability entry, I'm still backtesting this, but if I get a high probability entry on this uptrend, it is only going to happen here and not on the other pairs. So I may make some more percentage. I may make the percentage more consistent and the returns more consistent. Currently, my assessment of the pound Aussie, well, we can start with the daily. The daily is stuck in this range. But if we zoom in, we're going to see a pretty good uptrend, right? This is okay. I'm seeing some very decent momentum, some healthy momentum. We almost had a flag form here. It didn't form in the end, but there was some potential for a flag to form, and it would be running in some profit most likely. So if I was trading this, my game plan would be to get in on buy setups as it is in an uptrend. I would say pretty interesting. I'm actually going to put this one on the watch list as well. Let's see what will happen. We can check it out next week in the next live stream. Until then, USD CAD, another one that I'm looking into. Canadian dollar, something that we don't trade. So we don't have the Canadian dollar anywhere in the mix. Daily chart. Unfortunately, the daily chart is not looking that healthy as it's kind of slowing down. And the 1 hour is looking pretty flat as well. So according to our high and low methodology, we are stuck between the high and the low. We're just kind of ranging around here. See, ranging around, not really doing much. Yeah, if I was trading this one live, I would be patient. I would, of course, wait for the break of the low or the high. So yeah, not doing much. Next one is, of course, S&P. And the daily is looking very nice. Very bullish. I am very bullish on the S&P. S&P tends to move a bit differently than Forex. Okay, it tends to move in these channel-like formations. So basically, you have a trend line. Right here, you have this lower trend line and the upper trend line, and it kind of respects trend lines. So it kind of, let's put it back. It kind of trends inside of these trend lines. So the pullbacks can be pretty corrective. The pullbacks can be pretty tough to get in. You could get stopped out pretty easily. But my bias is bullish. I have a bullish bias. I'm not seeing any signs of this thing slowing down. I'm seeing a lot of bullish pressure. Zooming in on the 1 hour. Yeah, see, this is pretty tough to trade. Like, it is moving up, but it's super corrective. The pullbacks are super choppy. Here as well, it's just kind of trickling to the upside. And Forex tends to produce these sort of entries, while S&P just kind of trickles to the upside, not really showing that super strong momentum. Let me see on the 5 minute, what can we spot? Yeah, pretty dirty. Pretty bad price action, if you ask me. I'm not used to it. So yeah, S&P not doing much, pretty corrective, but I do have a bullish bias. This is just how the S&P moves. It is, you could say, a characteristic of this instrument. So yeah, great for the US economy. Great if you wanna. Ooh, actually a setup here. Whoa, this is a great flag. Holy moly. So Nasdaq actually gave us a great flag. Before that, let's check out the daily. Pretty strong, pretty healthy. Of course, Nasdaq is expected to follow, and so Nasdaq is expected to follow the S&P. Okay, and that is exactly what is happening here at all-time highs, I believe, as well. Nasdaq does like to move in these channels, but if I zoom in, I can see a no-brainer flag. This is pretty amazing. So this would be the exact setup that I would like to see on a Forex pair, right? Exact setup I would like to see on Forex. You have a big push up, nice, strong impulse to the upside, some quite decent momentum, pretty healthy momentum. And then you have this super clean flag formation. First high, first low, second high, second low. Blue candle is your entry, no selling pressure, super flat price action, nothing much happening. Then you get in. Let's see here. Maybe a bit of a bigger stop loss like this. And this would be a pretty good winner. This would be a pretty good winning setup. So, yeah, pretty nice. You would get taken out according to our trade methodology. This would be a pullback, break of the high. You would get taken out somewhere here for possibly around 3.8%, depending on your stop loss. Sometimes you'll get some clean price action. I personally did backtest the S&P. I don't think I did the Nasdaq, but the S&P was not that great in terms of our entries, not that great in terms of returns either. What you're gonna do? Anyway, summary: bullish. I'm bullish on the indices. Trump is in office. He's supposed to be great for the U.S. economy. When he was in office for 4 years, back in 2016, the US economy was booming. So we do expect more uptrend on the S&P. How do I like to, let's say, or what would be the perfect way to distribute your assets and distribute your investments? Well, if you have a broker, a Forex broker that is offering you at least a 1 to 100 leverage, I would actually take, let's say, 60% of the money out, or maybe even 70% of the money out, keep only 30%. So if you have, let's say, $10,000 and a broker with a 1 to 100 leverage, you could put 3K, you could put $3,000 into the broker. You could take, let's say, I don't know, you could take $6,000, put it in the S&P 500, take $1,000, put it in Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum. I think that's a perfect split, because then even if you don't make a lot of money in a year with Forex, your S&P return would be great. I mean, look at this year. So if you invested 6K at the beginning of 2024, you would make around 29%. That's massive. Okay, that's massive percentage. And if you put $1,000 in Bitcoin at the beginning of this year, mind you, this was a great year. Okay, not every year will be as great as this one. So if you went in on January, you would have made a 137% return on your $1,000. So I think that's a perfect split. I think Nico from Zentum Trading, he does that thing. So he has 30% in his Forex broker. He has a lot of leverage, so he can afford it. He has, let's say, 60% in the S&P, and he has maybe, I don't know, 10% in crypto. So yeah, that's the way to do it. And then even if you have slow years with your trading, you don't make a lot of percentage in trading, you make, let's say, 10, 15%, you can still make a bunch of percentage with the S&P or with crypto, because every single year, either the S&P will do good, or Bitcoin will do good, or Forex will do good. Okay, one of the assets will produce some good percentage, and you will make some decent percentage in the end. You'll have drawdowns as well. You'll have bad years. S&P has some big corrective years, part of the game. But that's a good diversification system. So yeah, where were we? I got lost. I'm basically very bullish on the indices. The gold, is slow, stagnant, and range bound. It's not doing much. Yes, we do have a bullish pattern here. We do have a bullish V reversal, but then you have a big red candle, and now we're flat. Zooming in, flat. Flat, flat, flat. I think gold is waiting on the NFP event, okay? It would just make sense. I mean, look, here is the NFP event. It's coming. It's very close. Here is the price action. Basically, the bigger players are waiting for the news. They're waiting to pick a direction. I think silver is going to look pretty similar. Yeah, definitely a corrective here. Zooming in, not my cup of tea. I do prefer the price action of gold, but this is not my cup of tea really. So I would say the S&P and the Nasdaq are much more interesting than gold and silver. Bitcoin and Ethereum are much more interesting than S&P and Nasdaq. Okay, so crypto most interesting, indices second, metals third. Oil super boring. I don't want to even talk about oil. Super boring. It's doing absolutely nothing. So let's just move on. And the final one I have for you today is the DXY. Actually, it is the dollar index. If you don't know what the DXY is, it measures the strength of the US dollar. Okay. This is pretty important for me as I'm trading dollar pairs. Is it something that I take into account for trading decisions? No, it's not. But it does give me an indication of when I can maybe expect more trends in the markets, when I can expect some decent entries to potentially occur in the future, in the next week or something like that. What is the state of the DXY? It was super trending. So it was super healthy here, very strong, very healthy. Now we have gotten a signature which I don't really like to see. It is two pretty large bearish candles, one after the other. Okay. So that is something I don't really like to see. It is a pretty bearish indication. Because of that, and also we kind of hit this major high of 108. Okay. Because of that, I don't really have a bullish bias anymore. Okay. I think it's more likely we're going to be flat or that we will just completely go down and reverse. Okay. That is going to be my forecast on the DXY. I'm no longer bullish. I was pretty bullish in the last couple of weeks. I was super bullish. But now with this print and with us hitting this major high on the daily chart, not that great anymore. So not the end of the world. I just need trends. I need the markets to go up. I need them to go down. What I don't like to see is when they are flat. So when the markets do this, that is kind of my worst nightmare, I would say. I cannot make much percentage in flat price action. If this thing can drop down and create some trends on my dollar pairs, right? That's game on. I'm going to be looking for setups. So if the dollar starts losing strength, then this can happen on the 1 hour chart. We can get an explosion to the upside, and I can be looking for buy setups on the euro and the US dollar because the euro is gonna appreciate against the dollar. So as long as the market is going up, as long as it's going down, it's game on for me. It's great. If the market is flat, then I'm basically powerless. It's game over for me. Or not game over, but I need to be more patient. And I don't like being patient, which is pretty funny because patience is the number one quality you must have as a trader. So yeah, I really don't like being patient, but it's part of the game. We must be patient. We have come to the end. Thank you guys very much for watching. Any last questions, make sure to put them in the chat. We'll have, I believe, another live stream next week if the markets are going to be active. If they're going to be flat and range bound, then I don't think we're going to have a live stream. But with NFP, I do expect some activity to happen in the markets. I do think it's going to be interesting. So see you guys most likely next week. For all the updates, follow me on Instagram. It is Marcos Trading Journey. I post all of the updates, times of the live streams, and everything on there. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.